Okay, everybody, I'm gonna show you this, that I'm overwhelmed with a bunch of junk out here. Try to show you some of this old stuff and then show you how easy it is to get overwhelmed. But I'm gonna take you a tour around some of this that I got. Probably gonna be doing a whole lot of cleaning up and a whole lot of getting rid of a bunch of junk. So let me see if I can figure out how to turn the camera around. Let's see. It's got to be, I can't see it out here in the sunlight. Okay, this is it. All right, and I'll explain to you some of it. This old truck right here, I bought it from Youngstown, Ohio. It's probably been about 17 years ago. When the diesel, it's a diesel. When the diesel went up, I took this old truck and just parked it in the field. I didn't do nothing with it. I just parked it. I pulled it up here yesterday. You see all the rust in it right here? I took and pulled all the wheels off of it because the tires were flat. Been sitting for, God, I'm gonna say it had been sitting maybe 14, 15 years. It's got the 7.3 diesel in it. It's we tinkered with it yesterday, and I've been here sandblasting the wheels. That's the old wheels right there. They look like crap. I think you can buy a set maybe for around 500 bucks, but I sandblasted them. And hold on, I'm gonna walk over here and show you how good they turned out. All right, see, I sandblasted them and painted them. They're not like the aluminum, but with the aluminum finish, but they're fine. I'll tell you about this truck right here when I get back to it. This is what happens when you get too many projects. But this old truck right here, it's a pretty good old truck. But when President Obama got in there, diesel fuel went up to $4 a gallon, and I just backed it out in the field and just parked it. Batteries is dead. But this old truck right here is a 63 Chevrolet. I've been tinkering with it. I pulled the wheels off of it. I got a new set of tires and stuff on it. Check this out. Everybody always likes this. They always like to look in this old truck and see that it's got a telephone in it. And I thought that was pretty cool. But to be old, it's in, I guess, fairly decent shape. And nobody seemed to want to buy it the way it was. So I took the engine out and put a new engine and all in it, new radiator and all this kind of stuff, and just soaked up a whole bunch of money in it. And there's the tires for it. So I ain't gonna spend a whole bunch of time on these. I'm just gonna kind of go through them. But the bad part about this 63 is this right here. That right there. You see that space in between the cab and that fender? That's a long bed. Not many people want a long bed. This old car, I wound up getting it from somebody, doing some upholstery work for it or something like that. I don't even remember, but I'm thinking I did some upholstery work on some stuff and might have thrown them a little bit of money. It's got 70,000 or so actual miles on it. When I first got it, it didn't even have a crack on that dash. But it's a Lincoln, and it's like a gas drinker. Nobody I mean, people like them, but they're not like burning up the woods to get them. All right. This is the old 49 Plymouth right here. I got it. I had a Edsel, a 59 Edsel, and the Edsel was a pretty nice looking car. And I went to a friend of mine's house, and this has been 15 years or so. I went to his house, and he wanted it so bad. I got an old luggage thing in there. I bought that at an auction or something because I thought it was cool. And have all rubber bits, everything in the floors and stuff in it. It's just solid. That's the original color right there, as a matter of fact. It's kind of maybe a blue battleship gray. But sometimes when you like old junk and you just wind up with it. I mean, it just sort of I put the visor back on it. He had done sold the visor, and I had to go buy it back from somebody. But if you look, I mean, it's in pretty decent shape. It ain't bent up or nothing like that. I don't want to put no. It's got the engine's been rebuilt in it. I got all the molding for it and all that kind of stuff. Projects, too many. All right. If you got a bunch of junk, you always need a forklift. I use a forklift pretty regular on different things. This is I think it's oh my gosh. Sorry about that, y'all. She'll probably blow my phone up. But this is a 76 Jaguar. It's got the V8 engine in it. Somebody's done changed it to a V8. There's some NOS fenders for that 49 Plymouth. This right here is a 76. That's one of my favorites, is that body style. The 76 Jaguar. It's still pretty clean on the inside. Not great, but it's pretty clean. Look how the dash always does on them things, they peel. But that is real wood. And if you can see, it's pretty straight. There's my pontoon boat. My mother got sick, and we never we was putting the floor on it at that time, and just never got around to it. That right there is my brother's. He's got a new one, so he brought that one. He lets me use it whenever I want to, and I ain't never brought it back to him. Okay, this old truck here, I bought it from a government auction. It run real good. It looked like hell, but it did run real good. I put a new set of tires on it, I guess to where I could park it. See, look how good. They're like new. They wish they are new. But this old trailer right here, I traded a little truck that wasn't nothing to it much and got something else that wasn't too much to it either. So here's a car right here. I bought that car. I had one just like it. I still got it. We took the engine out of it, and a 16-year-old girl was driving it, and she was running about 80, and she was drinking, and she hit that pole, man, in reverse. She did it, didn't she? But it didn't affect the engine. But I think she was real lucky that she hit it in the back. She lost control of it and she hit it in the rear. All right, this old truck right here is a dump truck that I bought, and believe it or not, I drove it and parked it right here. But it looked so raggedy, I didn't want to drive it on the road. But it had brakes and everything, and it just looked like if you was on a farm with it, you'd probably be all right. But I wasn't crazy about it. I could have took a paintbrush and painted it, I guess. All right, there's my pontoon. I was gonna put it in the middle of my pontoon boat over there. So this is what happens when you get a whole bunch of projects. This little car here, I bought it and gave it to my mother whenever she was driving. And it's just a little Geo. And I don't think they're real desirable neither. Oh, there's a stack of metal. I was gonna make a shelter. I still might do that. But I'm finding out that 20 years can pass by pretty quick. And you can just accumulate too much stuff and have too many projects. There's a tractor. That was my daddy's. I'm gonna keep all that stuff like that. There's a trailer right there that I use a lot. And that green truck right there, you see the boat behind it? I was taking my nephew fishing. There's the trolling motor. We didn't take none of the stuff out of it really, but this truck had a heart attack. And when it did, it must have had a massive heart attack because it don't run no more. Well, it'll crank up, but it's pouring water out of it and oil. All right, let's see. This truck blowed a head gasket, and I just parked it. This tractor down here, believe it or not, it looks like hell, but it runs real good. This is a old Kubota tractor. A mechanic told me one time that they were like a roach, that real hard to kill, and I believe it. They are hard to kill. And I've had people come up here, junk people, and want to buy my tractor because it looks so damn bad. And I tell them, man, I cut my grass with it. All right, everybody's got to have a grill. There's mine. But I'm finding out that you don't need near as much stuff as you acquire. There's my motor home. Ever since my mother got sick, we don't go nowhere because we can't. This Suburban right here, I just parked it right here. It runs good and everything. I just don't drive. There's the dogs. That's my granddaughters. I just feed them, and I show them a little bit of attention. All right. That's the dog. This car here, I bought it and gave it to my nephew. He ain't never picked it up yet, but it does run real good. After, let me show you this. After I loaned him that little green Volkswagen right there, All right, the little green Volkswagen is a diesel, and I let him borrow it so he could drive back and forth to work. And he hit a dog with it, and when he hit that dog, he knocked the intercooler off. And yes, unfortunately, it did kill the dog. As bad as I hated that, I went and got the dog and buried the dog. All right, here's another Volkswagen. If you got one Volkswagen, you probably need about 4 or 5. So I've got this one. You see, I stacked Volkswagen door panels is all inside of it. The engine had done been took out of it, and it's kind of like just for body parts. And oh God, this is a not that it's any good much anymore, but that is what they call a nailhead 401, a Buick engine, and they are very, very hard to find. Kind of like a Hemi, if you know what a Hemi, the old Hemi is. That was Buick's Hemi. All right, let's see. This old truck right here is a 65 Chevrolet. It's one that I bought. My daddy had it, he drove it. And you see, I even put, it's a sleeper on the bumper. A lot of people didn't know what that meant, but I just drove it down here and parked it. It was running fine. I drove it all the time. It's got the a 455 Buick engine in it. Yeah, we changed it. It did have a Chevrolet 6-cylinder in it, but I put power steering on it for my daddy and stuff, so he didn't have to struggle. And okay, we'll come back up the hill. This is the back bed. You've seen the Ford on the earlier video. This is the back bed that I'm gonna use on that Ford, because the back bed is rusted out. I didn't know that vehicles rusted up so bad in Youngstown, Ohio, but they do. That's a sign that I bought. It raises up. It's like them kind that goes on the side of the interstate. I actually have a restaurant in another town, and I seen this online. This guy was selling this car on eBay, and it looked really, really good. And it was the half of a 57 Chevrolet. So what I done was I looked online, and I found the 1957 Chevrolet, and I cut it in two. So you see, it's just part of it. It's a wall mount. And that's another project. So just like that drink box, which I didn't have a key to, but a friend of mine that worked for Coca-Cola got me one. All right, there's my other forklift. I put transmission fluid in it, and it made it where it wouldn't move forwards or backwards. And that was a bad joker right there. Man, it would pick up anything. This right here is an MCI bus. I bought it. Let me shut this. I bought this bus, drove it here, and raised the roof. If you look up there, you'll see where I raised the roof about 9 inches, 10 inches. And I raised it, and I was gonna close it in. And I had the metal, the aluminum that it took to close it in. And these metal thieves come along and stole the metal and chopped it up with axes. And I never replaced the metal, and it's just sort of sitting here. I bought that other motor home. All right, there's the other half. There's where I cut that 57 into. Looks like the youngest has been on it. It's hard to have. I mean, if you're gonna have a bunch of junk, some of it's gonna get messed up. All right, this right here is where a tornado. I was standing out here in the yard. The tornado come through. It throwed a bunch of these trees down everywhere, and it throwed the shelter down on the roof of my Jaguar. I might be able to pop some of that out. I'm actually gonna try because I really used to love driving that car. It's got a pretty souped up engine in it. It would fool a lot of people. They never would have thought that it had that much power, but it was a fun car. And you see a tree fell on this trailer house. I was gonna let my daughter stay here, and the tree fell on it. It's a good thing she wasn't in there. And damn, ain't it easy to collect a whole bunch of shit? It seems like all them windows right there. If you see all them windows over there? I just had hundreds and hundreds of windows. I bought them things from a company called Bus Pro. They were near Atlanta, and a tree fell right on those windows right over there and broke, I don't know, 100 of them maybe, at probably $500 a piece. But insurance companies don't do real good when a tree tears your stuff up. Not to talk down on insurance companies. I mean, they just don't want to do it. All right. There's a barn right there. I started to put that truck right there in that barn right before that tornado come up. If I had you see it would have tore it all to pieces. All right, here's a van. I bought that van. I just wanted one, and I drove it for a pretty good while. And the paint was peeling on it some, and I paid somebody to do a little body work on it. It run real good, but a guy ran a stop sign, and there's the end results. I hit him. Not real hard, but pretty bad. Bad enough to make me park it. All right, that's some of the storm stuff. A tree, that's some of the limbs they were over the truck, and when I cut them, we just laid them on the truck. But this is a 66. You see the tail lights, the backup lights. Only the 66 come with the backup lights. And it's just a parts truck. It could be fixed, but it's more of just parts. I don't forget who I bought that from. But anyway, this is a old Mercedes right here. I don't even know the year. I know it's set for 25 years. A tree fell right across it and broke it right through there. Me and a friend of mine hooked a diesel can to the pump and pumped that pump up, and that car didn't turn over 10 times and it cranked up. I couldn't. It was covered with vines and everything in a building that I bought years ago, and I was gonna take the engine out of it because it runs so good. Okay, this is must be like a 65, and the guy got it. Okay, I'm back. All right, this is a 67. It's got the big bug headlights. I bought those fenders, but it's got the big bug headlights because I liked them. The body is in pretty good shape. Here. Believe it or not, my wife has asked me, when are you gonna fix my car? Like she does. Okay, I'm back again. I don't know what's going on. Internet, but this truck here, it's a 66 and it's a GMC. Up on the dash. GMCs were a little bit nicer than the Chevrolet back in the old days. As the GMC was, it come with a lot more options and stuff like that on it than Chevrolet did. There's the chrome grills, some fenders, the bumper, and all right. Here's a couple of VWs. That one with a turbo, that was my wife's car. She drove it around. I drove it out here and parked it. The air conditioner wasn't working in it, and she wouldn't drive it. So here's another one here that I fixed the guy's car for, some door panels and stuff in it, and he gave me that Volkswagen. A parts car. The guy had a big block in it, and I bought it in South Carolina. And whenever I went to pick it up, I bought it off of eBay. Whenever I went to pick it up, him and his friends had pulled the rear end out of it, and I still, they wouldn't. So I still managed to load it and bring it back. This car here is a VW car here in town, and she drove it straight home and got a friend of hers to wire in an amp for the red. He tried to wire it up wrong, and it set the wiring harness on, and it burnt some of the wires up. And I went behind this from a finance company, and you can see right here, if you can see the wire. But the engine and all that stuff in it was real good, and I figured that I would put that engine in this Volkswagen. It's a Volkswagen convertible, same year model, got the same engine. So how many projects does shit? Here. I bought it for my mother, and I paid a guy. I bought it for my mother, and I paid a guy to put a timing belt on it and the water pump. I think it's a non-aspirated engine to where it's house when it if it breaks. So I'm thinking that I just paid him, and he might have took the belt back to the parts store, is what I'm thinking. This old truck, it's straight. I bought it from a school teacher of mine. That when I was in school, he was a real good man, and it has sat so long. This old truck, Suburban, I wound up getting it because I got a Suburban, and I figured I could use some parts off. You know, you just can't have 2 or 3 projects is way too many. It just costs so much to fix them. This is another Jaguar right here. I don't even know where I got it from, but I bought it from somebody. It's still got the Jaguar engine in it. It's sometimes I got a big Kubota, but when I was having my tractor, I must have got too close or something, and it hit the bumper. Who knows? But it shit. Anyway, we back over here. Everybody needs a cement mixer and a bunch of junk like that, so I got one. There's another sign. I use them things in the restaurant business. Whenever we go, we'd take that sign and advertise our restaurant. There's a hood off of that black 66 GMC. It's in pretty decent shape. I said, look how big the parking lot holds. This is the sign's done faded off. The sign's done faded off over there. So, there you go. All right. This truck here, I use that back thing right there to store stuff in, but the truck, oh, let me go back to this. I let this truck sit for a year because there was a homeless guy living in that damn bed right there, and I didn't want to throw him out. So whenever it warmed up, I went and had a wrecker go pick him up, and I figured that he could find him another place. This truck here, it's maybe a 70 or something like that. All right, here's another one. I don't know what year that is. I'm gonna say maybe 85, maybe. A lot of people like them square body cabs. I didn't buy it for the cab. I just bought it because it had that cube on the back of it, and I could put some more junk in it. Here's a bunch of old lawnmowers. I bought, give to me. This one right here, this old mower was my neighbor's. When he died, I bought that from his wife with all the equipment. I got every piece of equipment that came with it. A friend of mine brought that thing out here, and he passed away, and his wife didn't want it, and here it is at the magnet. Just collect the hell out of some stuff that you don't really need. All right. This car right here, this old turbo diesel, a friend of mine had a wreck at the red. I seen him. I called his wife whenever that wreck happened, and told him. I told her, he's all right. I wanted to go in and prepare her that he was all right, which he's passed away now. But a car pulled out in front of him, and he hit it right there in the front, and it bent the grill. It'll crank up right now. It runs fine. But it bent the grill, and it messed up the bumper and the fender. But it's another project. All right, this right here is my nephew's car. He said that he dodged somebody that was walking down the road, and it is a Dodge, ain't it? So he rolled it up on the side, and it's got a few little dents, like right here. It's got a few little dents and stuff in it, and broke the mirror. So let's go to the other side of the shop. I'll show you some more junk that I got. A bunch of this stuff I'm gonna get rid of. Once you get so much of it, you just can't keep it all. It's just time. I want to cut my grass. My new Kubota zero turn. You can't. You have to cut around all this crap all the time. Oh. All right. It goes to offline and then it reconnects. All right. I don't know if I said anything about that. That's a Safari motorhome. I wrecked that thing 20 years ago. Some kids pulled out in front of me. They ran a stop sign while we were going down the highway, and we totaled it out. All right, we'll come around this way. Alright. Honda Odyssey van. I drive that sometimes. We take it on some trips every now and then. It's a pretty decent ride. I like it sometimes, just to have a little extra room. There's a camper that my granddaughter bought for her boyfriend to stay in. He don't have the family life that we all wish that we had. But I let him stay up here, and I plugged it into my electricity, and I let him stay. All right, here's another truck. When Diesel got up high, I parked this truck. It's got the 24 valve Cummins diesel in it. It's really a, I mean, I know it looks like it's got junk all over it, but really, when I parked it here, it looked really nice, and I just hadn't done anything else with it. But I need to get it out and clean it up and do something with it. But it's got about I think about 100,000 miles on it. I got a brand new set of tires bought for it. I just didn't want to put them on with it sitting out here and put some flat spots on it. All right, this truck here, this is a 1966 Chevrolet. I started sandblasting it, and I bought some real cheap primer and it didn't hold up. Which this is just surface rust, so I could sandblast that off pretty easy and start over. And that's probably what I'm gonna do. It runs good. It's got the V8 in it, 3-speed on the column. I got it from a friend of mine. It was his daddy's. It's just plain Jane, nothing fancy. Look, he even left his dip up there in the cup. That's been there probably 10 years. But they put a metal bed in it. I was gonna take that back out and put wood in it. But it's a fairly straight old truck. It ain't nothing I'd jump up and down about, but it's fairly straight. And then here's another one that I got. It's a 65. I had this truck 25 years ago, and I sold it to a friend of mine, and I bought it back a few years ago. And really, it looked a lots better than what it does now. It looks so much better when he got it. That wood looked like new when he got it. But whenever I bought it back, I called him up and he said, well, what will you give me for it? And I told him, I said, I'll give you what you gave me for it. Let's see if it even crank up. Oops, I may have to mash the gas on it. So it will run. And it's fairly clean on the inside. I mean, it wouldn't be as bad to redo this one as it would be any of the others. And it's got the V8, power brakes, power steering, tilt, all that stuff in it. Wrong wheels, but I do have the originals. Look at the #1 spot. All of them always do that. That's the reason they sell that little corner piece down there. All right, back over here. I got this car from a friend of mine that he had another vehicle, and I sold it, and I kind of wound up with getting the money out of the other one into this one, and maybe a little bit of money in this one. I gave it to my granddaughter, and she it wouldn't shift just right. So I put shift solenoids in it, and I didn't know that you had to take it to the dealership to get them to program it, reprogram it. But I really don't care what she does with it because I gave it to her. But it's fairly clean. I mean, it don't look too bad. I bought this car for my nephew. The one down in the field is just like it, same color. And this one, right, it run good, but the CV axle broke in it. And I just went and got him another one. All right, here we go. Back over here. All right, this truck here, I don't even know how long I bought it. It's an old Ford Ranger. It's just a regular cab. It's clean. It was clean on the inside. I don't know about now, but the body wasn't bent on it or nothing. And I was gonna take that diesel engine out of that Mercedes and put in this truck, and that was the reason that I kept it. But well, it didn't have a dent on it. I'm just not seeing this for real. Hey, it didn't bend it. Damn, ain't that amazing? But it didn't bend it. And hey, how many projects can a person have? This car here, it run good, but it needed, what was that? It needed the, fits on the spark plugs, the coils. It needed the coil packs. So I bought all the coil packs and all that kind of stuff for it. And a customer come up here and I just kind of pushed that thing back out of the way, and I never messed with it no more. But I was putting coil, I put 3 of them on it, and to put the other one on it, you got to pull part of the intake off. And I didn't want to get in to pulling the intake off without, with that customer, you know, right here, wanting his work done. So I started on his car, and all right, back over here. Here's another one. I think it's a 97, maybe. I bought all the interior for this truck right here at a junkyard, out of a truck that they was fitting to crush. So I got all the seats, I got all the door panels, everything that make this truck right here really, really nice on the inside. And I couldn't figure out how to crank the damn thing. I put a fuel pump in it, it wouldn't crank, and it was the code, the anti-theft code, where you got to put the key forward for so many seconds, then flip it back, and then flip it back forward, and flip it back, and reset the code. And shit, I just didn't. I kind of got burned out on it and just didn't do nothing else to it. But I got a hood down there. I don't know if you've seen it down in the field. I got a hood for it. There's where that tree fell right through this trailer house. You see that? I mean, it come all the way down to the floor. So if anybody would have been in that bedroom, their asses would have got hurt, without a doubt. Let me show you some shit. This right here, my wife bought this, and her nephew, she gave $500 for this. Her nephew brought this damn thing up here, and he was driving like 80 or 90, and it tore the front end up on it. And you see where the metal blowed back right here, right there. But she thinks I can fix anything. So I tore the floor out on it, and got to put a piece of plywood in it and replace this rotten. I'll show y'all how this shit's made. Look at here. You see that? That is nothing. They staple like they're building nothing. Why not just go buy some damn Amherst glue and just glue it together? Because that's about what they did. And I'm gonna put this stuff in. I got the big staple guns and stuff like that, so I'm just gonna staple it in and just make it to where she can kind of let somebody have their first camper. And I won't lose but maybe a couple of days work and all the labor. That's the way it goes. Don't buy no shit like this right here that needs work. If you want it for the trailer, just a trailer, then get it just for the trailer and take the rest of this, all of this, through the damn junkyard and tie a rope around it or a chain and let that damn bulldozer snatch all that off and leave it there. All right, here's something else right here. That's the bed right here for that truck. All right, it's in pretty good shape, the bed is, and I'm gonna take it and put it on, maybe put it back on that truck when I get it out of here. But this is how easy you can get overwhelmed with buying some stuff. Check this out. Let me tell you the story on this lawnmower. This black guy come up down here and he wanted to cut my grass. And he said, hey man, I'll drive your tractor. I said, no man, I ain't gonna drive your tractor. I said, but being as you don't walk 8 miles, tell you what I'd do. If you want to cut grass that damn bad, I'll go to Tractor Supply and I'll buy a lawnmower. So we left Tractor Supply and I went and bought a lawnmower. And I put gas in it, and the oil was tied in a bag. So I took that oil and handed it to him and said, hey man, put this oil in this lawnmower. And he said, oh, okay. So he went to putting the oil in the lawnmower, and well, he didn't put the oil in the lawnmower. I walked off and I heard the lawnmower crank up, and in about 10 minutes, it sounded like he hit a rock or something. So I walked outside and I said, hey man, what happened? And he said, man, I don't know. I said, you did put that damn oil in that lawnmower, didn't you? He said, man, I couldn't figure out where it went. And really and truly, he couldn't read. He didn't know that said oil on top of that damn stick. So it kind of really, me and him, I didn't talk too ugly to him, but I just told him to leave. I couldn't help him. So anyway, this right here, I bet some of y'all, if y'all watching, y'all know what that is. That right there, and this right here, and that right there, that trunk, that is the hoods to a 1959 MGA. Remember they made the MGB? All right, here it is. That's a 59 MGA. Come with aluminum trunk lid. I sandblasted it, and then this car come up, and I had to quit on it. But I got the doors for it. I got the front fenders for it. The guy was years and years ago. A lot of these is aircraft gauge, not the gauges, but the switches and all that stuff is aircraft. And he put all that in there, and it's got the vented hood on it. It's got the 289 engine in it. You can look at this thing all day long. So I took the fenders off and sandblasted it. I need to hit it again and knock the rest of that back off, and then put a good coat of primer on it. But I was welding all this stuff right here up. If you've ever watched Bad Chad, I learned a little bit from him about doing stuff like this right here, where you take the copper spoon and you stick the copper spoon behind there, and you take your wire welder if you hold a copper back there behind that hole, you can push on it and weld that hole up, and it won't blow that hole out with copper behind it, and the rod won't stick to copper. So you can weld all that stuff. And there's the seats and all kind of shit over there. I just got a bunch of stuff. We're cleaning up right now. The shop's in one heck of a mess, and you just got to throw a bunch of stuff away. You see all this stuff I've thrown out here? Well, all this stuff's going in the dump. All this stuff like this. That glider swing, all them old tires. I'm taking all that crap to the dump. And hey, here's another thing. Here's another thing. A damn collection of motorcycles. If you want to buy a motorcycle for your grandchild, that's them China ones right there. They say that that's the same make. It even looks like the Honda engine, don't it? Well, let me tell you, that damn engine right here ain't got no time on it. I had a brand new engine put on this one and one put on this one at the same time. This one lasted about 3 hours. This one, it's still running. But if you don't keep up with, see the bolts right there? That's a bolt missing. If you don't keep tightening the bolts on them or put Loctite on it, the thing will just fall apart. There's the breather right there. It ain't even on it. This done fell off. A Honda ain't like that. There's two Hondas right there. That one needs some work. The rear end, the engine runs good. This one needs a cylinder head. So it's always a bunch of junk to have to fix. All right, I think this kind of covers most of the tour. Wait, I don't think I showed you this boat. This boat right here, when I got it, the interior looked so good. They had just put it in here. Let me show it to you. That's it. If you don't think the sun will wear some shit out, stick it out there. Alright, this is it right here. The engine and all was winterized when I got it. Supposedly runs good, but damn, don't it look ugly? It's bad. It's bad. I would have showed you the Jeep, but it's over there in the weeds. There's the engine and the chassis and stuff like that for it. Hey, too many projects. You can't have two. Once you get too many, it's just, you can't get none of them done. That's the reason the herd's fitting to get thin. Anyway, I'm glad that y'all, if you tuned in and you liked it, just like and subscribe. It's William Hall Auto Interiors. We always doing some kind of stuff out here. I'll show you some good interior tips, and maybe I can show you once I start cleaning all this crap up, who winds up with it. All right, thank you. Have a good time, have a good day. See you next time.